If you knew what your true yes was and what your true no was in all areas of your life, would you be able to choose faster and easier? What futures would those choices create? Everyone is capable of connecting to their bodies in a way to have more exuberant and joyful living now and in the future. Now, here is your host of Choosing a Different Future with Siris.
Hi everyone, I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo. Yes, quite the mouthful. I've been getting some comments and feedback about it. It's like, how can you say it? I was like, because it's my name. Practice it. It's a fun little tongue twister for sure. And you're here with me in Choosing a Different Future with Siris. I am really, really excited about today's topic. It's creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. And I mean this in a couple of different levels that we're going to get into today. But if you're new to the show, if you're new to me, Choosing a Different Future is all about talking about how we, through our individual choices and through our collective choices, can create many different futures beyond what has been projected and expected of us. And today, I'm going to be talking about this in a different way than maybe you've ever considered before. So I'm a family and child coach. I've been working with families probably since I was 11, to be honest, but in a more professional, official sense for about 16 years now. And one of the things that I do as a family and child coach is I identify the strengths, the gifts, the interests of everybody in the family, and also look at how each person learns and processes information so that I can take that into account when creating a plan for them and when I'm advocating for them, when I'm providing exercises and supports so that everyone in the family can thrive. And what we're talking about today is going to be really key for that. Be it if you are someone who works with families, if you're someone who has a family of your own and you'd like to support them even more effectively. And then I'm also a body relationship coach. So I'm connecting to the bodies that I'm talking to. I'm connecting to your body right now. Hi, hello, how's it going? And I am inviting your body to have more ease, to have more space, and for you to be more connected to it so that you can have more exuberant living your way. And one of the ways I do that, in addition to just being myself and being really expanded and being willing to see where we can go without any particular point of view, is I'm also activating the energies of the body process that I created that invites each of us, for those of us who are willing, to have more clarity and ease with our bodies, because it is who accompanies us through everything that we're experiencing on this beautiful planet, the Earth. Okay, so before we get into today's topic, I'd love for you to know of some other ways that you can connect with us. This month, on December 19th, we have a free complimentary workshop called Coming Out of the Dark. I'm really excited about this because this is going to give people a chance to play around with the body process that I created, but also for them to have very clear, simple tools, specific words and movements that they can use to help yourself or anyone that you care about who's willing to also come out of the dark, move out and into the light to shine brighter so that they can be happier about their lives. And so that'll be December 19th. That's a Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern North America, 1900 France, Italy, because I know we have some listeners in France and Italy, and then 2100 in Russia. And we're going to be having translation in French, Italian, and Russian for this. So really excited about that. And the link can be found on my website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, and also under the description of wherever you're connecting with us today. The Expansive Energies group continues. This month's theme is truly living with the unexpected. So through all of those ebbs and flows, what if you could actually have your self-care, have clarity for what to do, and have true living instead of survival when the unexpected, both the surprise, yay, kind of unexpected, and the not so fun unexpected shows up. And then we have awakening classes in the new year. We have one in January. Check those out. And also in June. And we're going to be having a Being a Different Possibility support group where we do monthly calls around different themes to help families and children around the world, both directly if you're one of these families, but also doing some energetic exercises as well so that we can contribute to this global community and listen to the children around the world, what they're asking for, if we're willing. Are we willing to listen to the children? I am, and I'd love to invite each of us to do that today with creating greater enthusiasm for living, listening to our inner children. Hi, inner children. So we will be creating different futures today with this key information that I'm going to be providing, and also with what is going to be awakened within you. We're going to be more aware of our influencers, okay, including the inner child through the framework of the elements of living. I've mentioned some of the elements of living before, and this is all with the idea to stimulate more joy, more peace, and more clarity for you to have exuberant living your way. Some of the past calls where we've talked about the elements of living are the call, I think it was called knowing which doors to open and which to close. We also talked about them when we were looking at what we're willing to receive. The call about, okay, when you find it hard to receive was another episode where we discussed the elements of living. So tinker around in our past episodes. This is definitely a recurring theme. There's so much here for us to discuss, but we're going to go where we go today and get as far as we can go. And if you have any questions about this, go ahead and pop it into the chat in our live chat room. Go ahead and send me any email questions at my email, empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. So as we're starting to talk today, go ahead and get comfortable wherever you are. Maybe you're sitting in a comfy chair. I have this yummy armchair today. Notice the room that you're in if you're in a room. If you're outdoors, notice your environment. Really tap in. Look around. What do you see? What do you hear? Yes. How's your body feeling? And say hi to your inner child. Hello. Hello, hello. Say hi to your body. Hello, bodies. Say hi to the earth, please. Yeah, hello. And as we're talking about our inner child today, just like we talked about in our Honoring Those Who Have Passed episode, which is maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, have your inner child accompany you, just like we had those loved ones that had passed accompanying us when we were playing around with these energies and creating more space for ourselves in that past chat. What if we could actually know that our inner child is with us at any given moment, that we can nurture it, that we can play with it, that we can honor it, and that it's actually a lot easier to do so. It's not, oh, I'm adulting or I'm honoring my inner child. The inner child and honoring that is actually a part of being an adult, an effective adult, a happy adult, an empowered adult. And this is really key to know about, because if we'd like to empower our children, we need to actually let them know that it's valuable to still have this sense of childish enthusiasm for living, no matter what age they are. A lot of language is used with ourselves and toward children that can be very problematic, and it might be sending them the message that we don't actually realize we're sending and that we don't want to be sending them. Like, oh, grow up. Oh, you're a big girl now, and so this means this. And whatever you fill in the blank for, some of that might be empowering and some of that might be planting seeds for them to not have this enthusiasm for living, to not actually be listening to their inner child, to be like, okay, go ahead and put that in the cupboard, go ahead and put it in the closet, shut that away, go la 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 la, and block it out. And and start functioning as an adult in this very particular way that isn't as expansive, isn't as sweet and pleasurable and enjoyable as it could be. Okay, so you don't actually have to choose between adulting and honoring your inner child. Okay, all right. So hi inner children. Make sure also to stay with your body throughout this episode as we activate these energies together, and it invites us to have more exuberant living. We're going to be connecting with our bodies and listening to those whispers of the inner children. And it sometimes may be whispers, and for those of you, and you'll get this as well, sometimes it can be pretty loud how our inner children are yelling at us, especially if we've been ignoring them for a while. They sometimes raise the volume up to get our attention. And when we start acting in a way that's maybe unexpected, when we start crying out, when we start having a fit, adults have tantrums. I don't think a week passes that I don't interact with an adult that's throwing a tantrum. I definitely had that, like this earlier this week on Wednesday. I was working with someone, I sent them an email, and through the email, I was like, wow, they're having a moment. I'm going to let them have that moment. Got it. Recognize it for what it is. And then ask questions about, okay, what can I say here? How can I be with them to move this energy faster through and beyond this where we're at right now so that we can get done what we need to get done. So part of why I really wanted to talk about this topic today is, as a child of divorce, and this is, I actually consider myself as I was a child of divorce. I used to put that as like a mantle, as like an identity, as an armor of who I was. I now recognize it as just an experience of multiple series of events for myself that has impacted who I am today. But as of the child of divorce that I was, and given the experiences with bullying that I experienced from family members, from my peers, and those moments in my life where I was considering committing suicide, I know that this time of year can be really challenging for people. And there's also people who have these moments where they're not quite so enthusiastic about living, and it's any time of the year. So, if you enjoy what we're talking about today, share this with your people that you know that would benefit from this discussion, and bookmark it for yourself so you can reference it and listen to it to remind yourself, hey, this is possible. You can actually have an enthusiasm for living at any given moment. It's just a choice, and you can choose that as a part of your future. And all of these experiences that I went through led me to finding tools to overcome that as something that's a defining thing as a part of my life. And for me to be able to choose beyond that so that I could be a more effective advocate for children, for families, and for the adults who have the honor of working with. And one of my specialties is working with those who are isolated, who are dealing with a lot of different changes, pivotal changes in their lives. And for those who learn and communicate and connect in a different way than maybe might be the typical that you usually see out in the world, those are my people. Maybe that relates to you in some way. And so I really wanted to talk about this for my people, you out there who are listening, for you to know that you are not alone, for you to know that there are things that you can choose, energies in your arsenal that you can awaken that will invite you to have true living if you would like it, if you truly, truly would like it. And I get that if you're listening to this, you do. It's just a matter of, okay, how would that look like for you? And I'm really, really curious of what it could look like, because for each of us, it's so different. And that's actually part of what I love about the work that I do, is that I get to explore and go on adventures and find these new ways of how it can show up with each conversation and with each session that I provide. So it's time for our first break of the show. When we return, we will discuss some of the things that I've experienced that has awakened my inner child and my connection to my inner child, and how you can awaken your connection to your inner child and have it be stronger and clearer in a really fun and nurturing way. So you're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris and with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. When we return, we will continue to discuss creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
So I was getting ready for our chat today, and welcome back, everyone. By the way, I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo. You are tuning into Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today, our show topic is creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. And before we went on break, we talked about the value of this. Why would we want to actually connect with our inner child? And why I wanted to talk about this, given my past experiences. So make sure you're connecting with us in the chat room. Join us using the ICN app on any smart TV or smart device. And make sure that you can subscribe and follow us on any of our more than 450 platforms for podcasts and TV that you can discover us through. We have some really great other podcasts as well on the ICN network, on the Inspired Choices Network. So tinker around. I am a part of an amazing community of amazing podcasters. And so thank you to my fellow colleagues out there. So I wanted to share something with you that hopefully you'll get. I was preparing for our chat today, and I got the ping to read two poems that I wrote back when I was really not sure about how this was going to work on this planet. Like, I'm not sure this is what I signed up for. This is really challenging. And big shout out to my dad, who encouraged me to write poetry. He's a poet and a composer and a Renaissance man on so many different levels. He's a tennis coach, basketball coach, volleyball coach. He was a bilingual educator for many years. And he really encouraged me to put all of this and pour it out on the paper, and always was like, yes, you got this. And oh my gosh, you're a better poet than me. And I'm not sure if that's the case. I don't think that I'm that great of a poet, but it really helped me not lock in all the things that I was feeling into my body. And it probably saved my life, much like reading books did. Writing and pouring this out also helped as well. So I'm going to read two poems for you to kind of get the idea of some of the things that not only was going through at the time, but a lot of the people that I work with, they express some of these sentiments as well. Okay. I wrote this when I was 10 years old, so keep that in mind. All right. The first one is called Spirits Within. Spirits pass through me. Sorry, I'm going to start that again. Spirits pass through people like me, not staying longer than a few minutes, doesn't need much time, never caring how the body is affected, like poachers killing animals, not caring. Sometimes coming again to torment, and finally destroying every possible particle of happiness left in the body. The body gets used to this routine and finally gives up, giving the spirits access to the body, making the spirits think it's easy to do so. The spirits have come for me, but I won't let them win. I won't give up, ever. Again, I was 10 years old. I was aware of a lot. Maybe you know some young people that are really aware, very empathic, picking up on all these different emotions from other people, all these different energies. And looking back on this as an adult now is like, wow, I was really aware of the unseen. I was really aware of the spirit world and all these different things. And it took me a long time to come back and acknowledge this because I shut it away and I didn't want to be weird and I didn't want to be different. And I didn't know who I could really talk to outside of my immediate family about this stuff that I was aware of. But what I could do is I could write it down. What I could do is I could at least acknowledge it for me. So what did your inner child, and what does your inner child know that you could acknowledge that maybe you've blocked away, maybe you've made yourself wrong for, maybe you thought that nobody would get it, that it wasn't something that was okay or acceptable to talk about? Maybe it's an awareness of the unseen. Are you empathic? Are you impacted when you're talking to certain people, when you're around groups of people at the mall, at festivals, when you're in a classroom? And what if you acknowledge that? What if you acknowledge that instead of blocking it away and trying to power through the heavy, trying to go deeper and deeper into the dark, thinking that by going into it more, that the sadness, the depression, the that it'll actually let you be into the light more. That isn't your best choice. It can work for some of us. We've all done it, where we try to say, okay, if I analyze this more, if I think about this more, maybe it'll get me to this easier place. I'm not so sure about that. Okay, so what did you pick up on when you heard what I just read with the spirits within? What did it call upon for you? What did it remind you of? I'm letting the inner child, my inner child, speak to your inner child. Maybe they could play together today. Because that's the other thing is, at the end, did you notice I was like, I won't give up ever. There was a power there. All of our inner children are powerful. Each of us are powerful. If you're still on this planet, given all of the craziness going on, all of the varied things that you might have experienced, you are powerful because it takes a lot to be here. And it can also be a lot easier if we are connected to our own inner knowing and to our inner children. We are very powerful. That is just a part of who we are. Okay. And the other piece that I'd like to acknowledge too is that there's this thing of like a routine. I mentioned here the routine, that you finally get used to this routine of things impacting you, of you not really being that happy about your life. And so what routines can you institute? And we're going to get into this a little bit more when we talk about how to create a plan for yourself. Okay. looking at your current routines, are there certain things that you're doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis that could contribute to you having a greater enthusiasm for living? Or are the things that you do day to day, week to week, actually making things harder for you, or are putting a lot more emphasis, attention, and energy on the things that actually keep you locked up, contracted, sad, or just going through the motions? Okay. So as soon as I'm feeling like, ugh, about my life, frustrated, I'm like, okay, time to change up something in my routine, time to add in something or let go of something else so that I can create more, so that I could have more space with this, because that's not my natural state anymore. It used to be. I'm reading from this little book where I wrote these poems. That used to be my day-to-day living. In middle school, oh my God, I would come home crying every day. And I would write and I would cry and I would write and I would cry and I would maybe watch some movies and I'd have some laughs with my siblings, but there was this ever-present heavy. And I would love for each of us, for all of us, to find a way to create routines and systems that nurture us, that provide a self-care, so that, of course, I have an enthusiasm for living. Duh, that's who I am. Like, that's what I would love for you to wake up and feel. Okay, and so what would that look like for you? I'm going to read one more poem. Let's see, I think we have time before our next break. Yes. It's called It. And I had never watched the movie It, those horror movies It, until like a year ago, by the way. So I didn't know what I was tapping into at the time. I wrote this back in 1996. So that would be, what was that? I would have been 14. I'm doing my math correctly, I think, 14. Really a lot of changes in my life. It was after my parents got divorced. It was when I was considering moving away to a residential high school. I was really functioning a lot from perfectionism, really putting a lot of pressure on myself, doing a lot of people pleasing. That's a lot of the people that I work with now, are people who aren't really including themselves in the equation of their lives on a consistent basis. And it's all about everyone else first, and then maybe I'll have those crumbs at the end. So it all started when I was born. You cried so much, not even the doctor could take it. That was a rare moment, Kodak moment, where I actually cried for myself, so willingly. Nowadays, I'm thinking all the time, practically never doing, unless I think for a while. It separates me from everyone else, repels me from others, and yet attracts. Psychos and maniacs are ordinary and normal compared to me, at least what goes inside their heads. There is a difference, action. I don't do. It makes me an alien, unknown, feared, to be afraid of, like most people would. Wouldn't blame people for being scared of me. They don't understand. How could they possibly understand if I don't understand myself? It makes them laugh and hurt me, like they've all done, calling me slut, snob, bitch, hoe. Won't matter anyway. I know somewhere out there, someone will understand me. When I find that person, that special person, I won't make the mistake of not communicating. I'll just love that person with all my heart. And my fellow friends here, what if that person that you're waiting for to understand you is you? So it's time for our second break of the show. When we return, we will discuss a little bit more of what some of these messages are from our inner child. And I will continue to invite your inner children to play with my inner child. Friends. So you're listening to Choosing a Different Future show with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. When we return, we will continue to discuss creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. Hello, inner children. So before we went on break, we were discussing a couple of these poems that I wrote when I was 10 and 14, and some of these themes that might resonate with you if you've ever had these questions come up like, is this really it? Is this it? This is what I signed up for on this planet. I'm not sure I'm okay with that. How does it get any better? What else is possible? I would like to have more money. I would like to have more joy. I would like to not be so stressed out. What would that even look like? Hello. So we were talking about that, and I would love to continue to talk about some of the themes that were brought up in the poem I wrote and read aloud when I was 14. I wrote it at 14. I read it before the break. And one of the things too is this idea of taking action. Like even back then, I was like, I know that I need to do something about this, but what do I do? How do I start? I am just flooded with this information and a sensory overload of everything that I'm aware of all the things that I'm feeling. Where do I go from here? And so one of the things to start off with is to ask yourself, well, what brings me joy? And maybe you're not sure about it now. So then ask your inner child, ask the child that you were. Remember, we are asking our inner child to accompany us during this discussion today. So call upon it again. Who were you before? Who were you before that you could be again, that you could acknowledge again, and in a way that's actually going to work for you now? Because some of the things about what I used to do as a kid would absolutely not work for me now. Like this whole people pleasing thing, like that I needed to be perfect for everybody else. Yeah, that's not going to work. No thanks. Bye to that. But who were you before? What are the things that you used to enjoy doing that you could revisit again? Like maybe it is reading, maybe it is writing, maybe it is swimming, or gosh, painting without having a point of view, without comparing yourself to anybody else. You know, doodling. I have a friend that was like, you know what? I really love just doing little sketches just for myself. I don't need to show anybody else, but I get out of my head. I don't even plan it out. I just kind of see what shows up. And it's really fun for me. And I love the little surprises of what shows up in these little drawings. And then I start thinking about little thought bubbles for these little characters that I get to play with in these sketches. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And this is something that they used to do as a kid that they're starting to do again. I have somebody that they were like, you know what? I really used to play an instrument. I loved it. It made me so happy. And I'm not sure if I'll play the same instrument that I used to play when I was a kid, but there's something about playing music and tinkering around maybe with the keys of a piano, the strings of a violin. I used to play violin for like 6 years when I was a kid. It still holds a very special place in my heart anytime I hear a violin play. These are the things that I'm like, oh, that's right. So when I think of, okay, what brings me joy and what used to bring me joy that could bring me joy again, these are some of the things that come up for me. What comes up for you if you were to ask yourself that question? What are those activities that actually awakened an enthusiasm for living, that you got curious about the world around you? That's what I love about kids. They're so curious. There's no projection expectation of, oh, I shouldn't go there because the world's going to end or it's going to be this horrible thing. They're like, oh, let's just see, let's explore. And I think that part of what happens to many of us is we've mutated a lot of those moments where we got curious and it didn't work out so well. And we're like, well, when I explore the unknown, something bad will happen. One of the common threads in a lot of the people I work with is that they have experienced abuse. They are children of divorce. They have dealt with a lot of separation and rejection and all these different things. So when you've experienced that, it can be a little bit trickier, more complicated to say, okay, let me just be curious again and explore. So I'm not saying this flippantly. I get it. I've been there, and not being curious, not trying out new things, not doing those very activities that used to bring you joy is such a disservice to you and your inner child. That's part of what makes life worth living, is trying these new things, having these adventures, and expanding your world through these fun activities, these things that kind of get you out of your comfort zone in a way that gets you closer and closer to a life beyond your wildest imaginings. When I read these poems, when I think about the child that wrote these poems, and I think about the life I have now, like, so grateful. Like, this is beyond what that little girl was asking for. I wasn't even sure if I would be alive at this age when I was writing these poems. I wanted to be. I really, really did. And this is one of those things, is that because of these experiences I had, I am able to identify those people that have that vibration, that are going through those tough moments, and tap into their bodies and invite them to have a different possibility, because I can energetically and explicitly, through different exercises and tools, give these breadcrumbs. It's like, hey, I get it. I've been there. And come over here, my friend, to this beautiful place that's possible for you as you walk out of that dark place toward who you are. The unknown, when we're going and trying these new things, is actually us meeting the known aspects of us that are there waiting for us to rediscover them. Because they're already there. The inner child's already telling us. Remember how we used to love jumping on the trampoline until we just were like spent? Remember how we loved walking by the ocean, or looking at the fish in the aquarium? Remember that? Remember when we used to curl up on our road trips, or point out to these different things out the window while we were in the car, like, look at this, oh my God, check that out. And we were so excited about our world. And what if we could have more of that again? It's there. It is something that is known. So we're not actually going into the great unknown. We are meeting the known within us when we play with our inner child. So what brings you joy, my friends? What are the activities that you used to do that you could revisit? And what if you actually popped it into your calendar? I'm a great advocate for using organizational systems like calendars, like Post-its, like, whatever. It could be digital or paper Post-its, but actually having multi-sensory support to remind you, hey, these are the things that can be a part of your life. Make sure to have them as a part of your life so that you are continually nurturing yourself. And how much more fun would your life be if you had those things clearly on a regular basis in your schedule that brought you joy versus like, oh, I'll get to it after my kids move out. Oh, I'll get to it after I'm done with this work project. Oh, I'll get to it on the weekends. And it's only on the weekends that I get to have fun. If given how much happens in a day, let alone a week, if you're only having fun on the weekends, and I suspect that some of you aren't even having fun on the weekends, by the way, but if you're putting it off to the weekend, then you're probably accumulating a lot more gunk and heaviness that then needs a lot more to be cleared by the time you're doing this stuff on the weekend. It's a lot less effective. Even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes a day here and there, doing those things that nurture you on a daily basis go a long way. I really, really, really recommend it. But you need to know what those things are first. And if you're not sure what they are, revisit some of the old ones, try some new ones. I just was talking to a friend who just moved, and I was like, hey, you have these amazing gifts with the earth. You love the earth, you love animals, you're super energetically tapped in. You're one of these amazing X-Men people that pick up on energies really dynamically. Have you considered visiting a botanical garden? Have you considered walking into a flower shop and just playing with the flowers, seeing how they whisper to you? Have you considered going and finding a new trail to walk in the town that you just moved to? Like, play around and explore. One of the things I love about where I live now in Charlotte is that they have these greenways, which are, I think, over 50 miles of different trails that cut through the entire city. And one of the things that I still love doing, but I definitely did the first 6 months I moved here, was I would be trying out a new trail every week. Sometimes more than once a week I would be walking these trails, but I would try a new one and say, oh, which is another one that I haven't walked? And there's something really meditative and cathartic about letting go, being in nature, really tapping into your body and the earth, not having to think about all the things that you need to do just for a couple minutes, even if it's 15, 20 minutes. And then when I did go back to work, did go and sit in front of the computer again, did go into sessions with clients again, my cup was even more full. I could be a greater invitation to them having an enthusiasm for living. I could receive from them more, talking about that other episode called When You Find It Hard to Receive. This is all connected, my lovelies. This is all connected. So when we do these systems, when we have these systems in place to nurture ourselves, we actually get to have a life that feels more worthwhile versus one that we're just kind of going through the motions about. Okay, where it's really that we're living out other people's expectations of us, including our past selves' expectations. A lot of the trickiness that I needed to detox, and that a lot of my clients tell me, oh, this is what I told myself I needed to do as a teenager. Got it. I got why I told myself I needed to do that. And now, that really isn't working. That really doesn't work, given the life I'd really like to have now. So letting that go. Thank you to that inner child. Thank you to my teenage self that put that in place, because it served a purpose at the time. But now, not working. So bye. Bye-bye. Okay. So it's time for our third break of this show. When we return, we will talk about how to create a plan for yourself, being guided by your inner child, so that you can have a greater enthusiasm for living. You're listening to Choosing a Different Future show with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. When we return, we will continue to discuss creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. We will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you. This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, lovelies. Welcome back, everyone. I am Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. Before we went on break, we were discussing how we can start actually using the information about what we know, about what brings us joy, to create a greater enthusiasm for living, to actually use our inner knowing, what we know now, and also what we used to do, the activities that we used to do that we can revisit and see if maybe there's a new version of it, a new iteration of it that might work for us, given what's possible now. And one of the things that I love incorporating is movement as well. There's a lot of different research that shows that when we actually are moving our bodies while we're trying out new things, it actually throws off and signals different synapses in our brains. Different new ones come about. So I love using multi-sensory supports with anyone that I work with. I also am awakening different energies within them as well. But one of the things that I do a lot is consider, well, what type of movement, what type of kinesthetics are going to help the person integrate these new patterns. And so that's another way that when we were talking about before break, when you go on a hiking trail, when you try do a different, sport that maybe you haven't tried before, it actually does something different to our brains. We're creating different connections in neural pathways that then affect how we perceive our world, how we perceive our lives. So really, really powerful. So what are the movements that would be really fun for you and your body that would not only invite this greater enthusiasm for living, but would also help you integrate these new patterns so you actually have a new narrative going on instead of some of those things that you might have projected from your past self into your present. As I read this next poem that I wrote, and I'll tell you a little bit about what was going on at the time, I'd like for you to consider what were the hopes and dreams that you had before that you could start taking steps to actualize and have as a part of your life now. So this poem, I wrote this also when I was 14. I was really going through a tough time, a lot of different life changes and hormones, puberty, bullying, parents were still in a lot of legal battles and not even able to talk to each other directly. And so they were only talking to each other through lawyers at the time. And for those of you that saw the post of my photos of this past Thanksgiving, both my parents were there with me and my siblings and my partner, and we were all enjoying Thanksgiving together. And it was the first time that we could do that since 2015. And before that, it wasn't until before the divorce. So we never had a Thanksgiving together like that. And it was just such a gift to be able to do that. And if you had told me when I was 14 that that was going to happen, I would have been like, get the H out of here. Get the heck out of here. That's not going to happen. That's not possible. I would have loved it, but I was like, no freaking way. So at that time, I wrote this poem called You. So many things to say, little time to say them. You've left me. Black clouds are already crowding the sky above me. I'm scared. You're gone. Faces are blurred. Tears are forced back so they won't fall when I think of you leaving. You're not looking back. Color has gone. Everything's black and white, not even gray. You're not returning. Our talks are remembered, our laughs cherished. You're still gone. Time flies by. Still I cry. I'm all grown. You've called me once, 10 years ago. I was still innocent. My relationships fail. The hurt is repeated over and over again. You're seen from a distance, standing straight and proud, smiling at me. You're here. I'm here. The rainbows have come. Black clouds have left. You walk toward me. You're all I can see. We talk, we dance, we laugh, we hug. Happiness has come. Tears are gone because of you. So you might think that this is about a breakup, and maybe it was at the time. I can't remember. I started dating pretty young, like 12. And maybe there was a breakup around then. But when I read this in preparation for our chat today, I actually was thinking, this is our inner child. This is us, the moments in our lives where we have felt like it's gone, like they have left us. This sense of, yay, it's so great to be here. Oh my gosh. And now when we get to connect with our inner children again, we get to have that, the rainbows come back, the black clouds lift, and we get to dance and we get to talk and we get to have this communion with ourselves that maybe we'd forgotten was possible. So what hopes and dreams do you have that you could start taking steps on to honor you right now as an adult and honor the child, the inner child that you used to be? And one of the things that I love to do is I love to sit with people and create a personalized plan for them where they actually get to be very clear on what they desire, how to use their body and their awareness of their body to create that. And also to look at these different influencers in their lives, from their inner child to how they're using time and age to define them, how they might be living out other people's expectations, and clearing those limiting patterns so that they can actually have a clear path to having more exuberant living. I think that that's possible for all of us. And if this is something that would be of interest to you, reach out to me and let's have a consultation. I would love for us to explore this together because it's different for each of us and it's way more possible and way easier than you can expect. It definitely was easier than I thought of when I was writing these poems. And so please connect with us next week as well. Our next episode is how to awaken more ooh-ah flow. We're going to talk about how to unleash having that tingles, the butterflies, the joy with every cell of our bodies. And you can connect with us on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern North America time each week. I'm really excited to talk about that topic. This is going to be something that's going to be amazing because we're going to be stimulating the ooh-ah flow for those that would like to have more enjoyment with how they connect, communicate, and experience the world around them. Do you know anyone that would like a little bit more of that? I suspect you do. And there's no cap for that for any of us. We can all have more ooh-ah flow. So connect with your inner children today and every day. Say hi to them, listen to them, take action steps to honor them, and keep me posted on how you have this enthusiasm for living more than ever before. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing a Different Future show. Siris returns Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, keep choosing what will work for you and your body, your own unique way honoring what will work for you.